A cat owner had some strange feelings while he was sleeping at night. He decided to videotape himself sleeping to find out what was going on. When Daniel woke up the next morning and played the video back, he couldn't believe his eyes. He got his answers to the numerous questions he had. From the day he adopted his cat, the owner knew he was an odd fella, but never expected what he saw. Adopting a pet will always be better than buying one. Getting a cat as a pet can also bring huge joy to your home. You can't really predict how the cat will act in the new environment you are bringing it in. This story is about a couple who found out their cat had a weird behavior trait. The weeks following the adoption, they would experience numerous sleepless nights. The couple never discussed buying a cat, so they went to their closest pound in order to find a little kitty. When they got there and looked around, they laid their eyes on one tiny cat. When they got him out, the cat was pretty sweet, plus pretty happy that it would get a new home. What they didn't know was that this cat had something that it didn't show them. Daniel Hawkins and his family picked out Muffins from the pound. When looking around in the pound, Muffins was the one that was looking straight at them. And when Daniel came closer to him, he started staring into his eyes. It was destiny. It was like Muffins was trying to tell Daniel that he would love going home with him and his family. They took Muffins in, and he became a part of the family. It didn't make long for Muffins to fit right in. Everyone in Daniel's family loved Muffins, especially his two daughters. Muffins would always cuddle with them in bed, and they would stroke his head. Daniel and the family felt that Muffins was an amazing addition to their family. But Muffins had a side of him that scared his new family. This side of Muffins only came at night. For day one, Muffins at night would stand in the doorway of Daniel's room while they all were sleeping. Muffins wasn't used to sleeping beds. Daniel even got Muffins his own expensive bed, but Muffins would never lay on it. Daniel didn't know what to do, so he let Muffins sleep with them on their bed. Unfortunately, Muffin's habit or flow only got worse over time. Nothing changed when Muffins was allowed to be in bed with Daniel. The cat simply wouldn't sleep all night. He would stand or sit on the bed and staring at Daniel for the whole night. The family didn't know what was going on, and they couldn't figure out what was causing Muffins to stay up all night. They even questioned themselves. Could this be a sign for something more serious? And obviously, what was he staring at all night? From the age of 13, Daniel got diagnosed with asthma. Having asthma prevents you from breathing normally. And he couldn't really take up some sport as a kid. He also has never tried a cigarette. And he always has to have his inhaler nearby. Since he was a teenager, he has visited numerous doctors and specialists, but none of them could find a real solution to his problem. Daniel also has been having more problems with his condition. Daniel didn't have any problems with his condition before they brought the cat home. Daniel also thought that his was more than just some allergy. It had to be something more serious. Some nights Daniel would wake up with a pain in his throat. It was so bad that he had to sit up straight and try to catch his breath. As days went by, Daniel's pain in the throat wasn't getting better. He was angry and frustrated, but he would soon find what was causing all of this. It became normal at this point, and one night Daniel woke up, one night like always. He looked at the clock, and it was 4 a.m. Daniel started to cough and felt that his chest was a little tight. His wife was fast asleep next to him, and he tried not to wake her up. He got out of bed to go get a glass of water. It was then when he saw Muffins, but the thing that he was doing shook up Daniel. His cat was just sitting on a chair looking at him, while Daniel was walking across the room to go to get some water. Muffins was following his every move. Suddenly Daniel thought to himself, what if his cat was seeing something in the room that he wasn't able to? Daniel got chills and started feeling anxious. The same exact situation happened again, a couple of nights later. Muffins was again sat on a chair, staring at Daniel when he woke up at the same exact time as 2 nights ago. He woke up for the same reason. He had been coughing, and his chest was again kind of tight. He said to himself that this can't be real. While he was heading back to bed, a weird thought came into his head. The morning after the whole weird situation, Daniel went to the kitchen to make some breakfast. He was having cereal and toast, as his 2 little daughters were playing with muffins. While he was eating his breakfast, Daniel felt a lump in his throat. He couldn't get the picture out of his head from the previous night. Something had to be done, so Daniel finished his breakfast, took his car keys and his wallet, and headed to the supermarket. While he was on his way over there, all he could think about was Muffins. He had too much unanswered questions. He had to get to the bottom of this. She was happy that Daniel was able to find out what was causing him the coughing and the tight chest. He entered the supermarket and went to the nearest staff member he could see. When he got to an employee, he asked her if they had cameras that had night vision. The employee that was stacking shelves stopped what she was doing and told him that she was going to be right back. Daniel waited a few minutes before the employee came back with what he was asking for. He was going to get some answers that night. Daniel came back equipped with a camera that he set up behind his bed. When it was time to go to sleep, Daniel kissed his daughters goodnight and went to his room. Muffins followed him there and watched him get in bed with his wife already there. Daniel closed his eyes and went straight to sleep, knowing that he would get some answers the next day. When Daniel woke up the next morning, the first thing that came to mind was the camera. Before getting some answers, he went downstairs, had some breakfast, waved goodbye to his daughters that were off to play some soccer, and then went back upstairs. He shut the door of his room, took the memory card out of the camera and placed it in his computer. While he was waiting for the footage to load on his computer, Daniel felt quite excited that he would finally get some answers. When the footage finally loaded, Daniel took a deep breath and pressed play. For the first couple of hours, there was nothing in the video. Daniel only saw himself and his wife turning and changing their position as they were fast asleep. At one point, Daniel pressed pause and saw Muffins at the end of the bed. As he continued to watch the video, Muffins slowly was coming towards him. And there it was, Daniel finally got his answer. On the video, he could see Muffins creeping on the bed and slowly getting closer and closer to him. At one point, Muffins climbed on Daniel and laid right on top of his mouth and nose. Daniel was speechless. This way why? For the past couple of weeks, he couldn't breathe, probably while he was sleeping. He paused the video and got up from the chair and saw Muffins coming into the room. When he saw him, he immediately started smiling. The next day, Daniel sat down with his wife over a cup of coffee and some breakfast and told her everything he saw on the video. Even though she was shocked by the news Daniel gave her, they both started to laugh. She was happy that Daniel was able to find out what was causing him the coughing and the tight chest. While Daniel was finishing his coffee and breakfast, he turned around and saw Muffins in the corner of the room. He stood up, went over to him and picked him up. He placed him on his chest and started to scratch him on the head. Muffins were looking at him in the eyes. Muffin's story only shows us that every pet has a mind of their own, especially when it comes to cats. They will stop at nothing to get what they want. Muffins only wanted some cuddle from her owner, but didn't know that what he did was hurting his owner. In the end, everything turned out fine for both Muffins and Daniel. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.